Right now.
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 Because it's time to right now.
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 Because it's time to right now.
Right now.
Right.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
All right. Hello, my friends, and we are live. As I am getting used to the new studio setup over here, I'm struggling to get all the logistics into place so I can actually be streaming effectively today. It is one of those days where it takes taking a little bit longer to organize the new streaming setup. Awesome. I am so happy to have you here. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to get into a couple writing sprints. We're going to try to see what writing shenanigans we can get up to today, and we'll see what type of writing progress we can make with our writing. So we're going to be doing God, I'm all over the place today. We're going to start off with the writing sprint, and we'll go with there. We'll start off with one writing sprint. So I'm going to hop straight into it because I just need to get in the writing mindset. Let's see. So I'm going to pull up my software, and I'm just going to get straight into it. All right, and let's see. I think we'll do I'll probably do this as a 30-minute. I kind of have a lot to do today. So let's do 30 minutes. All right, perfect. And we will go from there. Awesome. I feel all good about this. All right. Okay, perfect. So I have my screen all set up on my end. Perfect. So I need to get myself into the writing vibe today. We'll see what shakes loose. We're going to do a 30-minute timer and just get into it. So I have my stuff all set. Feel free to come join me. Whether you want to write, edit, revise, or whatever, come join us because it's time to write now. All right. How did that writing sprint treat you? Were you able to make any progress on your writing? Hopefully you did. You know what? I'm not feeling too much like writing today, but you know what? I did end up going into some brainstorming and planning for this next chapter. Oh my goodness. I'm like not even ready to I'm like not even ready to work on this next chapter. It's so crazy. Oh my goodness. This next chapter is bananas. This next chapter is crazy. Um Finally Scarecrow and his the other prisoners are finally forced to fight to the death in the first round of the Colosseum match as we see what it looks like as I envision about 100 animals are forced to fight each other. Oh man, this is it's an interesting one for sure. I was going through the rough draft, or I was going through the rough draft, and I was seeing how it felt. I mean, I think the pacing on the original draft does feel fine, but I think I needed to. I think there's a couple more storytelling elements that I need to add to it to make it feel a little even more intense, more exciting. So, and I'm going to do a little bit more of a POV switching back and forth between the characters. But I do need the fight to feel like it's really the chapter needs to feel like it's a journey of Scarecrow starting this fight and then the end of Scarecrow trying to survive. So there's a lot that happens in this chapter. I think what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to rewrite parts of it and take sections because I'm gonna add a couple more POVs while making the entire chapter feel like it's to make the entire chapter feel like the pacing is actually works. Bethany, it makes me laugh. Like this music makes my head feel like Kermit the Frog running around kissing thing. It cracks me up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes trying to find that balance of writing and working can be definitely an interesting doozy for sure. Nice, Inka. You wrote 306 words of your Paranormal Wizard of Oz road trip, WIP. Wow, that's super cool. I mean, that's right up my alley since my protagonist is really about a scarecrow. Oh man, well, I'm really glad that you made some progress with your storytelling as well. That's awesome. Gory. Like you write arena tournaments because there's often lots of telling and lots of preamble before fights, and insignificant characters and their progress taking up space. In anime, it works well. Yeah, I know tournaments work out very very well in anime. I've seen my share of them. With the Last Scarecrow, I remember when I originally mapped out this part of the story. I intentionally wanted them to be taken to this place as prisoners called the Colosseum of the Last, and basically being forced to fight to the death. I wanted to make the world feel a little bit bigger by introducing such a variety of different types of animals, but then also showing the survival of the fittest type dynamic that really takes up this tribe that controls this specific coliseum. So, and it works out really really well. It does work out well. Where the book is leading up to the midpoint, so we got a couple more chapters till we lead to some huge moments, and I think the Colosseum was a really really smart decision because it brings all of our main characters together, and it leads to a culmination of some very intense storytelling beats. So it does work out very well. Um, in the second draft, so in the first draft, I had a lot of random animals. In the second draft, what I've really tried to focus on is I've mapped out every single animal that's involved in this part of the Colosseum. So like when I pull back from a storytelling perspective, Scarecrow, who is our hero, was captured as a prisoner. He met up with the grizzly bear Gore. They're the two friends, and they're prisoners along with about 100 other animals. They're being held captive by a tribe. The tribe is basically full. It's like a tribe of primates led by a tiger who calls himself the Tiger King. They basically have collared all the animals and forced them to fight to the death. So that way the strongest will join their tribe. We have their two separate friend groups. So we have Scarecrow's first friend, Pebble the Pixie, who has ran into and met up with 3 dragonkin who have helped her take her to this Colosseum. So that way she can try to save her friend in exchange for helping one of them search for an egg that Scarecrow has had on his person for quite some time. Then we have the eccentric Mr. Crow, who has fallen friends with a band of adventurers who were already on their way to the Colosseum to save other prisoners. So we have these 3 groups. We have the prisoners who are all fighting. We have Pebble the Pixie with the dragonkin are flying in. Then we have Mr. Crow with this little band of adventurers, the skunk, the otter, the squirrel, as they're sneaking in. And there's a lot of convergence on this part of the story. For those of you who've been along with the journey for some time, they've encountered a lot of different types of tribes and a lot of different types of craziness throughout this world. But the Colosseum of the last arc is the first time that it feels very grand. It feels like a very grand arc, but very difficult. I know. And sorry you're dealing with power outages, my friend. That's always the worst. Poison, I've been working since like 12 in the morning and now it's almost midnight. I'm not sure where the time went today. Those days happened all the time. Pebbles. Stickers, please. I was looking at my dragon one and it's a lonely. Definitely, Bethany. Once I get further along with Scarecrow and I start getting closer to publishing it, I'll start doing a merch line. I'll do a merchandise line for it. And I definitely know people have asked for the Pebble stickers before. Yeah, Pebble is the pixie. She of the second draft, for some reason most people's favorite supporting character seems to be Pebble the pixie. Pebble seems to be the fan favorite so far from what I've seen, with some with a mix of characters, because Mr. Crow is like a chaotic neutral. He's not really good or bad. He's very eccentric. So Gore, like that's a great question. Like, how do you like to handle transitions between bouts? So that's actually a great question. In a normal storytelling circumstance, I had gone back and forth on, all right, if I'm going to do this type of Colosseum thing, am I going to frame it like a tournament and do different rounds or different bouts? And I actually decided to move away from that. But it's only as a result of the storytelling. So the way the Colosseum, the way the tribe, the Tiger King and the monkeys, who are the controlling tribe, the way they intend it is they intend for all the prisoners to fight each other and then kill off 25% of them, rest, and then do it again until they narrow it down to the top one. It wasn't intended to be a very like select process. It's very much like, this is what you're given, here's some random weapons, and may the best fighter win. We see the chaos and the chaoticness of this during this first fight, which is this chapter I'm currently working on. And then the characters, we'll see what the outcome of it is at the end of the chapter. And then before the second round begins, things happen. So there's a bunch of storytelling just elements that happen. that make the second round or the second bout that make it feel different and change. And it's hard to go into details with that without really like giving away storytelling, without giving away story beats. But we know that Scarecrow is trapped as a prisoner, and we know that he has his two different friends who are trying to save him. So yeah, Bethany. So right now, because my progress slowed down over the past couple months, I've been so busy with all of our writing events. But right now, at the rate I'm going, I'm hoping that I can aim for a fall release of Scarecrow. So I'm really trying to push myself over the next couple months to just for making some more progress. So we'll see how it works out. I'll definitely let you know, though, my friend. Absolutely. Inca, like it's fascinating to me which characters readers latch onto. I made the Archangel Gabriel a grumpy ass who wishes he were only a child, but my readers love him. Yeah, it's interesting. I've created a world full of very extreme character personality types, and I don't actually want readers to like every character. I want certain readers to like some characters, other readers to like other characters. I've done and I'm doing a lot of heavy character development because I want certain personality types to resonate with readers. So that way I feel like, because I think in a story, I think there should be a healthy mix. Like you're not going to like every character. You're going to like some characters more than others. And I think that should change or be different per reader. Bethany, like, would you do Scarecrow teas? I'll rock him come fall. I love Scarecrows. My favorite fall decor is Scarecrows. That would actually be super cool, wouldn't it? That would be super cool. Yeah, I definitely have a line of merchandise that I'm planning out. Trying to figure out what's going to be the right like things to do. But yeah, I'll announce more once I'm a little further along. I realized that I feel like I need to get to the second draft before I start making plans for the book launch. Oh well, Unknown, thanks for stopping by, my friend. Go for a second. Battle Royale is now established, so a fantastical arena like that would be interesting. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, I completely agree. What's up, my friends? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good to see y'all here, ML and Adrian. I'm just talking about Scarecrow, what I'm kind of planning out right now. Hmm. Let's see. All right. I think clearly. What's up, Mary? Welcome, welcome. All right. Well, I think I see everyone hopping in here. So let's do one more writing sprint. I'll do it. I can push myself. All right, guys, let's do it. Force ourselves into one more. I'll do another writing sprint. I'm like super tired. I'm not even feeling like writing at all today. But you know what? We do what we do, right, my friends? So we're gonna do another writing sprint. 30 minutes on the clock. You see, I was just brainstorming. I'm gonna start working on the chapter. Adrian, you're like, I can't wait to read the Scarecrow project of yours. I must admit, I tend to tune you out when you talk about it so I can read it spoiler free. You know what, Adrian? You know what's interesting is it's a mix that I get from the community. Some people are like, I don't listen to anything because they like yourself don't want to be able to enjoy the book, and other people are like, no, I want to listen to it and hear like the commentary because then when they read it, they're like, oh, it makes it and improves the reading experience. But it's different for everyone. I have some of my friends who are like, I can't watch your writing streams when you're writing the book because I don't want to be spoiled. It's different for everyone, which is kind of cool. Hey, what's up, Rita? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Great to see you over here in the chat. Welcome over from Facebook. Great to see all y'all there. And Mama Maggie, what is up? Mama Maggie in the house. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. Well, without further ado, that means I got to make some progress. So let's do it. We're going to do another writing sprint, 30 minutes on the clock. Whether you are brainstorming, writing, editing, revising, procrastinating, or you just wanted to come hang out, come join us because it's time to write now. Right. And writing sprint done. Were you able to make any progress on your writing that time? Hopefully, we were all able to make just a little bit of progress, whether we got some words, ideas, revision, or something else altogether. Drop a comment. I would love to hear from you. That is interesting. It's just so crazy with this chapter. In the original rough draft, I didn't really do a setup for a lot of the animals. I think I did a setup for our main characters, but I didn't really do a setup for the supporting all the animals that are about to be in the fight. Now that I have, so all right, how is it? I clicked the mute button and it didn't unmute. Let's see. So it's really interesting. I would love to hear from you if you were able to make any progress that time and how it went. So the audio should be back. Yeah, I don't know why it like randomly remuted itself. But definitely I would love to hear from you. How did your writing progress go? Definitely drop a comment. So I would definitely love to hear that. And let's see. So yeah, it's just really interesting. It's really, really interesting. You guys should be able to hear me now. I unmuted myself. But yeah, I am so intrigued because I'm at such an interesting part of this chapter. I I'm at such an interesting part of the chapter. In the original draft, I didn't do a setup for all these animals. I envisioned there being about 100 animals in this fight that they're about to encounter. But now in the second draft, I've really set up. I've introduced about 30 of the animals over the past couple chapters. And now as we get into the fight itself, I have to find the right balance because this is really going to be quite a chapter. In the rough draft, I didn't really even set up any animals. I just had the fighting start and then we kind of see the animals. But because I've done so much more groundwork for setting up animals, I was like, I knew that I had to start this chapter with giving some notable mentions to certain species. Yeah, because I'm gonna have to really play around with which animals that I actually want to die in this one. Which ones do I want to have heroic deaths, weak deaths? There were some really great moments from the rough draft. But yeah, I just had to find a really interesting balance. So, and I'm trying to set up and introduce some of these rivalries and team ups and some inherent things as we're kind of seeing all of these different animal species been kind of like let out and forced to the slaughter in a sense. Oof, man. Let the games begin. All right. Well, this is interesting. Going to keep trucking along and we're going to see how this chapter is going to turn out. So, like I said, it's a little bit of a rewrite. Yeah, I definitely have to rewrite like parts of the chapter, but we'll see. Like it's so difficult when you have a large cast. I always try to pepper them in throughout the story so it's not overwhelming for the reader. Yeah, and you know what? I went back and forth on this one, Inca, because the majority of the story is actually a very small cast. There's really only a couple heroes, but this is the one story arc where there's intentionally introduced a lot of animals. And none of them are major characters. And I think the reader is clear that a lot of them are like that. I've intentionally introduced a lot of different species and animal prisoners, and the reader knows that they're being forced to fight to the death. Like I made that very, very clear. Um, so it's like I don't want the reader to feel like they're getting attached to all these different ones. I want the reader to feel intrigued by all these different types of animals, and to not really know what to expect, which is kind of the same state of mind that our hero Scarecrow is being thrust into. As we're really wondering, how is Scarecrow going to survive this when Scarecrow can barely save himself? There's like at this point in the story, there's like worst case scenario for Scarecrow being forced into a physical fight where he literally does not know how to fight at all. Oh man. Well, we are definitely going to see for sure. And of course, once I get some reader feedback, we'll see how readers feel about an introduction of quite a number of animal and really like minor characters for this specific story arc. So yeah, I'd say this is probably the only part of the book it's probably about 5 to 6 chapters worth where there's such a large cast of minor characters. So, but I'd say the rest of the book is really like yeah, I'd say the rest of the book is really focuses on like the 3 to 5 major characters. Really, the focus tends to be on the 3 major characters the majority of the book. Maggie, you're like, question, will Scarecrow not see someone he met on the journey enter the arena, then suddenly notice their corpse? Yeah, you know what's interesting about that is I had him recognize in the rough draft. I didn't really have Scarecrow make too much of a connection with many of the animals. In this draft, he's made a connection. Obviously, his friend is Gore, and Gore's basically said that he's going to protect him, because he owes him a life debt. So he does know Gore, and then the what was that? The Cobra king, the Cobra. The three of them have agreed to ally and work together. And then outside of that, so far all he's seen is he's seen a lot of other animals. In the previous chapter, we had Scarecrow and Gore trying to rally animals because Gore convinced him that they needed to get a group. So the Scarecrow tried telling a story, but they were only able to bring small animals to a listen. So far, Scarecrow has been very unsuccessful in really forming a connection with animals, with the exceptions of ones who are probably really don't have too much of a shot. When you have an animal like a mouse or a squirrel or a possum, like animals of that size are at such an extreme disadvantage too when you have such large animals like an elephant or a rhinoceros or a jaguar. Like it's just like the fairness of it is very, very off, and it's very intentionally so. So will Scarecrow? Absolutely. And I think because he's formed a little bit more of a connection with some of these, it's going to hit him a little harder. It's going to hit him a little harder in this post. If post this first round. So I also think though that when you're in that type of, or I think if a character is thrust into that type of situation, I think there's a large factor of it where it becomes survival. So I think there's a survival aspect that Scarecrow is very much focused on, and it really challenges his morals of what he started to believe, and believe was his moral compass leading up to this part of the story. So great question. Maddie, you're like, when's the next critique stream out of curiosity? Great question, Maddie. So next critique stream will be, I'm going to do it on the 12th. It's going to be on Saturday, June 12th. Originally, I was thinking about doing it this weekend, but with the 4th of July weekend, I'm wanted to give myself a break. So I'm going to, next critique stream will be next Saturday, June 12th. And then since I'll be done with like the writing events, we'll return the critique stream to doing it twice a month. So yeah. And then we'll get back into our twice a month critique stream cadence, which I know is a really popular stream. And you're like, I think it's different if so many are going to die, but it would be interesting if you could play with readers' expectations there. Like, if you give a stronger intro, they might expect them to survive. Yes, and Inca, the way that I actually balance that is I'm assuming if there's about 100 animals, the first round, so I actually put a very hard cap limit on this first round intentionally. Because I didn't want it to feel like there's this fight and all these animals die. So I think originally I had put that basically they announced at the start of the fight, the first once 10 animals have died, the round will end. I might increase that since it's about 100. I might increase that to like 15 maybe. But I don't by the time we get to the end of this chapter, I don't want it to feel like all the animals are dead, but I want it to feel like it's definitely been chaotic and there's definitely some deaths. There's definitely been some deaths for sure. Because then it's going to be exemplified when we see some of the story events and how it evolves in the coming chapters. I want it to definitely feel dark, but I don't want it to feel hopeless, right? Because we still have the next book is going to get darker. The next book is definitely going to get darker. And I still have to draw out the tension, so there still has to be that level. There has to be a level of hope. And since we have both of his friends, both Pebbles group, the Pixies group, and the Crows group who are nearby, there's that level of hope that I want to have, but it has to be overshadowed by the extreme nature that Scarecrow could die at this part of the story. So, but thanks for the advice. That's really, 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 really great things to think about. I know you're right. You're right. You're like the mouse might be able to survive itself by burrowing under the stuff on the floor, and that's absolutely a valuable point. I'm really going to be challenging myself to think creatively on how different animals are fighting against each other and surviving. I think in the rough draft, I focused on a lot of the conflicts. I focused on the fights, and I focused on some of the deaths. And I think in this one, I need to layer on some of the ones who are surviving, while also intermingling Scarecrow's fight and journey during this chapter. You're right. You're right. The smaller underdog animals could survive through being clever. That's a very, very valid point. So yeah, God, as you guys know, I'm so excited about this. But on that note, my friends, I'm going to call it a stream. I still have to continue on my moving stuff. So thank you all for joining me today. It's been an absolutely great conversation. I'm loving as I'm getting to dive into the beginning of this crazy chapter. I appreciate all your thoughts. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back tomorrow with the Right Now Writers group. So make sure to come join us where all the writers in the community come hop on stream with us and we just chat about all things writing. If you want to come join us, feel free. Let us know, drop a comment, and I'll shoot you the invite link. Our Right Now Writers group is every Wednesday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll be here as we'll chat about writing and maybe get in a little bit of writing as well. So thank you all so much. I know this, Maggie, just you wait. I have some really, really interesting pairings. I really try to mix up the pairings actually. Because I also want readers to be intrigued by what types of things could happen. Oof. All right, my friends. Well, thank you all for joining me. It has been great. And by the way, before you leave, if you enjoyed the stream, tap that like button on your way out. Help us show the algorithms that writing streams are cool. All right, my friends, it's been great. But unfortunately, you've reached the end of the stream. But don't forget, words are wind, but stories are forever. I'm Kaufman, and I'll catch you on the morrow. Stay creative, writers. Words are wind, but stories are forever. I'm Kaufman, and I'll catch you on the morrow. Stay creative, writers. It's time to write.
Right now.
Sorry.
Right now, not right now, but right now. Read now, right now.